Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Another week, another edition of the show. This week I have John from the awesome band out of Seattle called Dead Bars. So welcome to the show, John.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So we got, some big things, new album coming out. So, I mean, we'll start there. And, I know what it's like to have to record something, sit on it, listen to it 1,000 times before it all comes out and goes to the world. I mean, how are you feeling at this moment about, the record itself?
I feel great, and we're all really, really stoked because it's it's been a little bit of time, and we put out the second record, the second album in 2019, and and we had a lot of stuff cooking, and then basically we had to, everyone kind of had to take a break for a little bit. So it's just really cool that we were able to, you know, sincerely and kind of honestly approach this next thing. And I think it's the best thing that we've ever released. And I'm really happy with just a better songs, better performance, better production, and yeah, just needed. I just felt like it needed to something that we had to say, and I'm stoked to get it out.
Well, I'm sure everybody else who's a fan of the band is stoked to hear it. I mean, because this has been the longest interval from the inception of the band in like 2013, 2014 of starting to release music to 2019. And now we're in 2025. So that's a pretty, long time. I mean, yes, did the world come to a crashing halt in between there? It did. But they're hearing that you kind of had a lot of things to say and that you took your time to get there. I mean, was it a conscious effort to make sure that the work that you were going to put out with taking such a long time in between releases like lend itself to, do you think you like really focused on exactly how you said, saying what you want to say and making it, come to fruition with this new album?
You know, we actually pretty consistently released material I think every year, 2020, 21, 22, 23. I think we even put something out last year. Maybe last year is the only thing we didn't do, but then this is, when I said the last thing we put out, I mean, it's the last album was
Yeah, album. I mean, you
2019.
had a bunch of
So
splits and stuff like that,
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
But I'm like the focused effort because I'm an album guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love 7 inches, I love the splits, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I love to be able to sit down for close to an hour and hear what somebody has to say to me.
yeah, totally. No, it was one of those things where um we did kind of feel like the Regulars album didn't really get we didn't really get a chance to play it in front of all the places that we wanted to. So kind of when we started playing again, and I mean it must have been 20 end of 21 or 22, we really were like kind of focusing on like, hey, like we want to like we still believe in this album and Regulars, and so we wanted to kind of tour it and stuff. And we did a lot of shows. We really came back, and honestly like we played maybe the most we've ever played in like 22 and 23. And then, kind of over that time, we um, were talking just about like, what are the next steps and like, what do we want to do? And everybody was like super committed to, basically like the next thing. And then that's just what ended up happening. The difference this time, I think, than other years was, um, I basically, asked people to bring stuff, which usually wasn't, it's historically like, I was doing a lot of I would bring all the songs and then it'd be like, we'd work on them, and that's kind of how things kind of came about. But I was like, hey, like, I want this to be more collaborative. I want people to bring stuff that you think, if you have something to say, I want to hear it. And that was really cool because half of the album is half of the album is not even my songs, which is like very, very very new maybe for folks who follow the band. But the cool thing is like, you know, everyone in the band is really uh like a great musician. And so when they were coming with stuff, it wasn't like, hey, I have a song. They were like, hey, I wrote a Dead Bar song. And so it was really kind of cool to hear like them kind of present something that was, how would I go about maybe, I really think that they were intentional about really thinking about how I would interpret it and if it would be a good song for me slash us. And that was like, that's a huge deal for me. And just shows like how awesome it is to have folks that you can, that believe in you and believe in the band. And I was able to, allow that in. And so that's the biggest difference. But I'm really stoked.
Now, when you made that decision and told them to like start bringing stuff in, was that hard for you at all to like relinquish, I guess, some of the, hey, this is what I normally do? Because change is hard, right? Change is, it's not an easy thing. So what what was behind that conscious effort for you to do that, and how hard was it for you to do that?
Um, it was just that, everybody, like when we first kind of started, when we first kind of started getting back together, whenever, I don't even know how long the break was, but whatever the break was, the COVID kind of like, pause, before we even did anything, before we even played a chord or played a show or did anything, I was just like, hey, like, so checking in, like, this has been a opportunity for everyone to like take a step back and like, everyone like, kind of went their separate ways, honestly, for a little bit. Like, I didn't see really folks for a little bit. We kind of were very doing our own thing, which was good. But then like coming back, it was again, I don't even know how long it was. It wasn't like it was years, but it might have been a year or something. And I asked, hey, does everybody still want to do this? Because it's a legit question. It's like um, we were going so fast and so hard that there was not time to step back and like, or a time or an opportunity to step back and actually ask that question. And this was the opportunity. And so when everyone came back, like emphatically, it was just like, not only do we want to like still do this, but like we have shit to do, places to go, things to say. And kind of like when that attitude came in, I was like, okay, well, everyone bring stuff and let's see what we have, and just take it from there. That it was pretty instantaneously. I was just like, all right, let's see what we have, as a band. I felt like, we finally had our or have our group.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear that, and if everybody came with the intent of creating, a Dead Bar song, like that's pretty unique in and of itself too, because most people, if you ask them to bring something, it's something that they just want to do, right? So that's, kudos to you and everyone else in the band. That shows a cohesive unit, and I mean, with the songs that are currently out, I mean, it just you can tell there's there's a different like dynamic to the band right now.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, they when I say, they'll like it's collaborative on all fronts, but Odo, our bass player, and CJ, our guitar player, they're the ones that had actually, been like, hey, like I think this is a song that you should sing, like, so it was like definitely very intentional of like think very much thinking about this band and not just like I have a song. It was definitely very intentional to uh be written for this band, which was great.
It's awesome. Now I want to like peel back some layers of your life and kind of get a feeling of who and why you are to in music and where you are today in music. So I mean, it starts with it happened to me at a very young age, 6 years old, hearing the Beach Boys changed my life, and here I am, almost 50, and still being a part of it. So when what was your childhood like? Like when you were younger, do you kind of have a moment like that? Or did you grow up in a musical household? Was there music always being played and kind of lend itself to leading you into other directions?
It wasn't really a musical household. I mean, my parents, like, we listened to the radio and stuff, and they like classic rock, and they you know uh that's and my dad liked hard rock, and my mom kind of liked kind of softer stuff, but like the Eagles or like Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or um Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that was kind of like around and on the radio, but it wasn't like a huge part of our like life. I did have like an uncle who kind of gave me some tapes, like really when I was really, really young, who like I remember, which was cool because it was like, I don't know, he was probably just getting rid of them or something, but like, I had a little boom box and like, he's like, here's some tapes. And it was, I had like a Cyndi Lauper tape and I can't really remember the other. I definitely remember the Cyndi Lauper tape. I mean, it might have been something like even like New Kids on the Block or something. I can't remember, but something like that. But like that wasn't what I was super into. It was just cool to like have my own thing, which was kind of cool because like before that, it's just like whatever, parents have. But the first kind of thing for sure, you mentioned the Beach Boys, hearing it when you're 6. So like mine is like kind of it's pretty. I mean, I think a lot of people probably have this story, but for me, it was like I heard Basket Case by Green Day when I was in second grade, I think, maybe first grade. And so
Nice.
yeah, same age,
Yeah.
6 or 7 years old, like, um,
Wow, fuck.
and
I just felt really old because I was a junior in high school.
sorry, man.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I mean that I was like this song like, blew me away. I just like wanted to hear it over and over and over again. And so and then another kid like showed me Cypress Hill, Insane in the Brain.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing where I couldn't get it out of my head. Like Insane in the Brain was like the craziest, best thing I've ever heard. So I made my mom buy me Green Day Dookie and Cypress Hill Black Sunday on cassette as like a second grader, which is crazy.
It's
Uh,
crazy. Did she actually purchase the Cypress Hill?
she did.
Wow.
She did.
Good on
And
her for not
yeah,
knowing.
she didn't know, but like, I mean, it only takes 2 seconds to know because like the first song off of that record is I Want to Get High.
Yeah.
And and so like for that, I remember like I'm just put on the tape and I'm just jumping up and down like on a trampoline, just being like, I want to get just screaming, I want to get high, and not understanding anything. And so she definitely did take that away at some point. It was like, this is not for you. Think I was allowed to keep the Green Day tape, but I'm also not sure about that. Because they were new parents. Like I was the firstborn. They were like being cool, but then we're like, navigating what it's like and be like, huh, maybe that was a bad idea. But yes,
Yeah.
it actually did. That is absolutely true that happened, and
Wow.
it was foundational, which was cool. I mean, like that like definitely informed pretty much every single taste that I have is through those kind of two tapes.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to think about, how really as a child how much influence something will have over you for the rest of your life, and I bring up the Beach Boys, and it kind of like, for me, it was, I started like the harmonies, like it led me to certain bands. Like, yes, what did I grow up as a punk rock kid and hardcore kid? Yeah, but I still always found my favorite sound was always with like two vocalists harmonizing, and led me to bands like the Posies and Big Star and Teenage Fan Club and things like that. And still to this day, I hear like two vocalists with harmonies, like it just does something different to me, and it always goes back to, well, that's because that's the first thing that touched me. So
Yeah.
it's
That's why I
also,
think, yeah, that's why I think Green Day is like so important, really, because it's like such a. I didn't know what punk rock it is. I don't know one thing from the other, I don't know. Like I'm a 6-year-old, I'm a little kid. I just heard Basket Case and I thought it was the best song in the world, and so like they're like deserve like the most credit ever. I'm sure like people a couple years older than me too. I'm sure Nirvana was that for them, but like just a little bit younger than that. But yeah, I mean they're the gateway band, and then all of a sudden you hear other stuff, right? And then all of a sudden other stuff that doesn't sound like that, you kind of are like, well, I don't like that. I want to hear more stuff that sounds like this, and then all of a sudden that leads you down the road of and then kind of understanding all of all of that, and also like it was just such a crazy time with bands were just becoming so like big, and that was like kind of it was easy to kind of get into if you liked if you liked kind of like the way that those guitars sound, there was like other bands that were kind of out there and they were like on the radio or like MTV. So like it was a cool time uh to like be really young and like find good music because I wasn't like, I was too young for like to find a scene, you know? So like
Yeah.
there's actually good music like on TV and the radio. So it was like pretty awesome uh in a sense. I don't know what it was like. Maybe people were like, "Oh, they're selling out or something," but I think it was kind of important to like be exposed to that, alternative stuff or whatever was so that definitely had an influence on me.
Yeah, I mean, and you brought up like two bands you bring up, Nirvana and Green Day, and the the thing that I always go back to, and being able to be old enough to see what's going on at that time when those bands hit was the not only their music was good. Nirvana for me, I always have this love hate. Like I'm like I don't ever think that was like the greatest music, but I think the biggest influence a lot of those bands had was that it showed that like you can do it, right? It was no longer did you have to be wearing leather, tease your hair, wear makeup, and do these crazy guitar licks to 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 be a rock star, right? You could pick up a guitar and know three chords, and you can create something. And I think that's one of the biggest influences where Green Day was catchy, and Green Day to me over time, like I come to learn, like it wasn't really punk rock, it was power pop, and it was stuff that I liked. It wasn't that what everybody thought punk was. Yeah, they were on the punk scene and they were Lookout Records from the Bay Area, so it was like this whole thing, but at the same time it was more palatable. It wasn't screaming. It was for all of Billy Joe's tones that he has in his voice, it was still more palatable than any other punk rock that was out there at the time.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I completely agree.
So from that moment, and you mentioned finding a scene and stuff. When did you start to find a scene for yourself?
Um, so yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, by you probably. Um, and when I was in, honestly, maybe even elementary school, like fifth, sixth grade, something like that, I was aware that like I had friends whose like older siblings were like in a band, they're in like a band, a high school band or something like that, and they're playing shows like down at the VFW hall, like down, down the street. So I'm like 11, 12 maybe, and they're like 14, 15, 16, something like that. And so that's when I was like aware. I was like, oh, I gotta go see this band, like I've never seen it. I never ever saw a band before. And so I went to go see a bunch of just like local shows like in my town. And then that's like when I was like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is like there's other things going on. There's shows happening in different towns. There's shows happening at different places, and you get a flyer, or a band says it on not whatever on the floor wherever they're playing. They're like, hey, like, we're playing, next week at such and such. And so that's when I became aware. I was pretty young, 11 or 12, something like that. And, obviously, asked my mom to drive me. And sometimes she did, sometimes I couldn't go, but I mean, it was cool. It was like, it was for kids. And like, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I think most of the bands were high school or maybe right out of high school. So it's like definitely for kids, and it's very suburbs. Like it was like there's no city where I was from, and it's all just like small towns, and every town has its own kind of thing going on. So it's very, very suburban, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
So do you remember, so that very first show you went to, do you remember the bands that were playing?
Yeah, I do. It was in Rockaway. It was in a VFW or an American Legion. I can't remember. Something. It was a band called Annoying Customer. It was a band called uh Letterbox. It was a band called um Contra. Contra was it was and still is an awesome band. They're so good. Still to this day, they're a great band. I mean, they don't play, but I mean, I've listened to them. Like, I've gone back and I'm like, wow, this is amazing for 17-year-old people. It was so good. And then, yeah, I can't really remember, but it was all high, they were all in high school, and I was in middle school. So
Wow.
that's how it went down.
And that was the very first live music you ever got to see.
I think so. I never went to a concert or anything like that. I mean, maybe something in like a park or something, like a band, like a cover band or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Nice. So when did you start to become involved and want to play music?
So like I said, like I had friends whose older siblings were playing, and I just wanted to be like them. And so I was playing drums, and my I got a drum set, and I was practicing, and we uh I didn't know anybody that played guitar at all, and my one friend wanted to play bass, and then my other friend wanted to play guitar, and then we kind of just like talked about having a band, you know. Um, like we were like we're a band, but like we never were a band at that
Did you
time.
come up with a name for that band when you said you were a band?
Um, it was, I mean, that one, like, man, I can't I can't really remember. I wish I could. I wish I could. It was man, was something really, really simple and not interesting. I can't if it comes back to me, I'll remember. But like that was definitely like middle school, and then so that's when we're going to shows, and we're all still learning our instruments, right? I'm still learning how to play drums. Like the guy who said I want to play guitar, like needed to learn how to play guitar, and then
Yeah.
the person like I want to play bass. It's like so middle school is only like 3 years, or whatever. So we were going to the shows when we were in sixth or seventh grade. By the time we wanted to start the band, we're in eighth grade, and then boom, eighth grade's over, and then you're in high school, right? And so by the time I went to high school, um, it was me and the guy who wanted to play bass, and then we ended up meeting. It was like two towns went to the same high school, so we ended up meeting somebody who like was a good guitar player, and he was into punk rock, and they were into like a whole bunch of others. We were into like I loved Blink 182, and like I liked some hardcore too. Like I was getting into like Refused and Snapcase, like weird. I mean, for a young kid, like it was like
Yeah.
getting into like kind of Victory Records type hardcore. And but they were like these guys were into like Dead Kennedys and like the Misfits and stuff that like I wasn't like that into, but they were really into that. So like somehow met someone there, and then they were like he I'm still friends with him now. Andy is like he's like, oh, Andy's a good guitar player, he wants to like jam or whatever. And so we started jamming right there, like right in that fall of freshman year. And then it was like a three-piece punk band, and that band was called we played first time I ever played a show, and it was billed as Decay. I think we were called Decay. And then I was like, I don't like this name, or we didn't like the name, and we ended up changing the band to Nasarima, which was American spelled backwards, and we like stylized it with like a capital A at the end and a lowercase n, and so like then we were like we're punk, we're like we're like you
We're
know
coming up with shit, man.
we're like anti-establishment, man, when we're getting like my mom drove me to the show, but we're playing with some pretty pretty anarchist crusty bands. Like we were like I don't we somehow like went into that world like crusty. We went into like full on, like we were like full on crusty punks, like anarchist literature, and like Flecks of Pink Indians, and uh Dirt and Crass and all that stuff. And like we were like for some reason, even though I loved emo and stuff too, like I was listening to like yeah, everything that was coming out at that time. but for some reason we kind of went into that world. So that was the first. That's the first band, and I did that for like a year, and it was awesome. It was so good. I wish we had recordings. It was an awesome band. It's great. We were three piece. I wish we just didn't have resources to make any real recordings. So that kind of stinks. But yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
first one.
And to think nowadays all you need is a computer and you're good to go. Like it's
I remember somebody showing me Pro Tools in like 2001, and I was like, I don't understand this at all. It's probably pretty late too, because I think it was probably around by that time.
wow. Now, from that moment and playing in high school, is that kind of from that band? Did you kind of think like, you know what, this is something I think I want to wrap my life around?
I think so. I remember always that's like always what I wanted to do. And I think I fell in love with the romantic kind of element of it. The whole like if you have a dream, it could come true type thing. And then like also at that time, I mean, we were like a crusty punk band, so this doesn't really apply to what we were doing musically, but just what was going on around us. Like because we were going to all these local shows, um, all of a sudden, like bands that I saw like in my town were like on MTV like the next month. It was happening like that, which I think also skews your and I mean the example that I can think of, I mean, is like the Starting Line. I don't know
Hmm.
if you remember that band, but
Yep.
they like I saw them play in my town, and then like a couple months later they are on TRL,
Yeah.
with fucking Carson Daly and shit. And so the idea of like what was possible just as a 14-year-old kid, it's like everything's possible. I can do that, It's like it was
Yeah, it does jade some people at sometimes. I mean, like I don't know if you were I don't know if it was still around when you were that, but Skaters World and Wayne, like I saw Jimmy Eat World and the Get Up Kids there, and then all of a sudden they're on MTV, and it's like that's crazy to me.
yeah, I mean, I've heard about that legendary show. Everybody talks about that legendary show. Um,
Well, there was two in Wayne, and that's why, because there was at the drive-in with Jimmy Eat World at the firehouse, and then there was Skaters World, which was Strike Force, Antarctica, Get Up Kids, and Jimmy Eat World.
okay, yeah, everyone talks about that at the drive-in show, the
Yeah.
legendary one.
And I
Um,
tell people all the time when they say, "Oh, dude, I was there." I was like, "No, you weren't. Like, you weren't."
they,
Like
they
I
might
say,
have It might have been, maybe. Who knows, man? Like it's weird times. And like so yeah, I mean, I just I mean, maybe I was too maybe I was too young to be jaded because, you know, I mean, and then also like I mean, dude, the list goes on and on. Like Starting Line is the example of like I just talked to you like a couple weeks ago type
yeah,
thing, and now you're on TRL. And then, but then there was like Thursday, right? Like
yeah,
Was like um Thursday was on like in like Best Buy, on the TVs, like like they were playing like Understanding in a Car Crash, like on it's like wait, what? So like all of these bands, what was possible? What for me, I mean, I can't speak for, I mean, I think it just was like where I was like that age, and I was like, oh, you can, like, this is possible. You can be in a band, play over here at this hall in the town, and then like somehow have a music career.
yeah.
So I think that had something to do with like you're asking, like, did you always just like, have this drive or wanting to do it? I mean, I just saw what was possible. So it was like real in front of me, and I was like, oh, I'll just do that.
Now, from that point, like, I mean, you're a kid growing up in Jersey, seeing all this stuff happen. Like, what was your like next big step in you know performing and creating music after
Uh,
seeing and trying not to be jaded by watching what other people are doing?
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in between, right? In between like the 14-year-old band, then we went on to another band, but it's all in high school, and like we don't know what we're doing. I would say like the next kind of like step really was like after I got out of high school, some of the folks from my high school band, and then my friend's older brother, who I looked up to, who like was the one that was like playing in all these bands, he wanted to start something with us, with we weren't that much younger, but like, he wanted to start something with like his brother's band, which was mine, and then me, and then our guitar player. And so we started a band, and because we started this with like people who were already established, in terms of like they actually had the contacts, they actually had been on tour. uh so it was like that was a thing where I was like, okay, cool, this is the next step because I'm learning, about what this is about. And so that band was called Red Light Green Light, and so we did that. And so that was I did that from 18 to 22, 4 years. And so I got to play. We tour, we like did our first tours. The first tour I ever did was in that band. The first real recordings I ever did was in that band. We put out CD. We did what did we do? We played the Bamboozle Festival twice.
Mm.
Like we
Yeah.
played like we did that, uh, which was huge. I mean, we played in front. I mean, thousands. I played in front of like 1,000 people, probably. Maybe more. It was crazy. So I did that. I played with like, it's kind of like Dead Bars in a sense, where like we played with every type of genre, which is kind of like I think confusing for people. But we played with like pop punk bands. We played with like I played with Every Time I Die. We played with the Banner, which is another Jersey band. We played with a lot of hardcore bands. Um, and so that's the next like kind of step, was doing that. And then that basically people had like left the group. We were getting some different members, and then I just wasn't having fun. I don't think anybody was, but like I just wasn't. I just didn't want to do it anymore. So unfortunately, I was like, I don't want to, I don't want to do this, and so that basically effectively broke up the band. And then at that time, I was just graduating from college. The Great Recession was happening. I was looking around and there was like nobody was doing anything. Like nobody was playing music. And then nobody was wanted to do music the way that I wanted to do. I was ready to start another band and like, get going, but like everyone was like, trying to, I mean, it was tough. It was like there was like no work. So everyone's like trying to like survive and get a job. And I was like, wow, I just got out of school. There is no like people that had jobs can't even get jobs. So like me that never had, I mean, I had jobs, but like never had like a career. I was like, well, maybe I just like won't do that. And like, but I can't do that here. And so me and a couple friends, just I remember sitting at my kitchen table and my friend was going through like a breakup and he was just like, oh, I just need to like get out of here, and I was just like, we could move to Seattle because we had a friend out here, and I was like, we could just go do music out there. It's literally that stupid. Um, and then everyone just kind of looked at each other like, yeah, I would do that. And then I don't know, maybe 6 months later, I was out here, and I've been out here for 15 years. It's just crazy.
Wow. Yeah. No, I mean, that is crazy. And that also, lends itself to like young and just being like, yeah, I can do it. Like, let's just go do it. And, it, if you look back, you could say it's foresight, but at the same time, it's like, I just need something different and it just works, and I mean, so from that point, you're in Seattle. I mean, how does the formation of Dead Bars come about?
So, like I was saying, I mean, I was a drummer. I came out here to play drums. I came out here to like, start a band with my friends. And it just was slow going. It's like, oh, can't just like pop into a new place. Like I had no money, nowhere to live, no job, like for real, like so it became like pretty apparent that I had to like, even though I just wanted to come out here and like play music, I had to like find a place to live, and like find a job so I could have money, and so it was slow going because it took a while to do that, and get like settled and stuff. And then we kind of were doing a band out here, and then that kind of just wasn't really working. And then I decided to join a couple other bands playing drums also. And then I was running into a problem uh, where um like just I was starting these bands and it was cool and things were happening and we were like making record make we were like we would like get together, write some songs, make a record, and then like that I'm like very much like old school in a sense of like like it's like there is a certain like kind of like grind kind of thing where it's like you know make make the recording, press the record, go on tour, rinse and repeat, and it's
Yeah.
like, and that's how you're gonna get fans. And like I just get to this point with like all these projects where like it just wasn't as serious for folks that I was playing with as it was for me. And I would just we'd get to the point where we made the record and that's like, oh, like we need money to put out the record. I was like, I'll put it out. Like I took my own money. Made a little label and like pressed the record and was ready to go and like wanted to, was ready to book some shows, like book a tour. And then, like the singer or something would be like, I don't think I can do that. Kind of just want to like go back to school and like marry my girlfriend. And I'm like, what? You know, like why are we doing this? Like if this is if you're just like, oh, I'm just having fun, like that's cool, but like I'm trying to like, make stuff happen, or at least like, do the whole thing and then see what happens, I mean, like every band's different. It's like sometimes like it doesn't work and then, you stop. But like I always wanted to like, do all the things. That's like exciting. And so I just found myself in this situation where it's like, okay, well, I'm the drummer, he writes all the songs and he's the singer. So I can't just be like, all right, well, that's cool. Like, we'll just get a different singer to do the tour, right? Like, the band's over, It's like, there's no, like, I don't just get a fill in to like keep the band going. It's like, he doesn't want to do it anymore. The band's over. And now I just like, now I kind of like, you know, kind of don't know what to do. And I just found myself in a couple of those situations. And I just one day, or just kind of woke up and was like, if I ever do another band, it's gonna be one where like I am the front person essentially, because uh, I just felt like I'd have more control over things like that. It's like, okay, like drummer doesn't want to do the tour, we'll get a different drummer. It's like we keep it moving, for consistency. I don't know. That was my mindset. I don't know if it was crazy, but the problem was is that like I never, I didn't know like how to, I didn't know anything about like music, I didn't know how to like play guitar. I didn't know how to play piano. I didn't know how to write a song. I didn't know how to sing. Um, and so that's a problem, you know,
When it comes to creating music, a little bit.
it's a problem, so it's like, um, so I kind of just, I was like, well, I know what like sounds like. I would always like try to communicate like what I wanted to like, I would always hear things in my head, but I couldn't like articulate them or show anybody what I was doing. So I finally got a little bit comfortable and I was like playing on the E string of a guitar. So one string, one finger, and I would just kind of like find like a progression in the one string and be like, oh, okay, like, and just kind of find some notes. And I mean, the long story short is I ended up writing like maybe 6 songs that way, just like one string, uh, and just kind of like singing the melody, like writing the lyrics, and just kind of having like the most raw kind of version of a song. But hey, like it's a real thing. Like I showed it to people and I was just, and then they were able to like be like, oh, okay, that's a C chord, like this, it goes like this, like, okay, that's a G chord, like it goes like this. And so I'd be like, yeah, yeah, like that. And like, so like I had some friends that were like, would interpret kind of the one string into some songs, and then ended up making a demo with, I played drums, bass, guitar, uh, because at that point too, the one string morphed into, somebody told me that if you down tune the E string to D, it'd be D A D, and basically you basically could use your one finger and just, do what I was doing on one string, but they're like, now it's a power chord, and I was like, oh, sick. So I did the whole demo like with me, just one finger, three strings. I did bass, one finger, one string. I played all the drums, and I did the demo, the first Dead Bars demo, 6 songs or something like that. And then kind of showing some. I mean, I just like showed a couple people, and like people were like, "This is awesome. This is so good. Like, you should play. You should do a show. You should do this." I was like, "Nah, it's like not. It's not a real band. Like I don't. There's this isn't like a real thing." And people just kept bugging me to like do something with it, which that's like a good sign, that's like a really good sign. Like people just kept kind of like saying like, hey, like you should play a show. So I finally got some friends together, and I basically got them to agree to learn the 6 songs, and then we were going to play one show, and that was going to be it. And so that's what we did. I recruited some people. I was just going to be the singer. I was not going to attempt to like play guitar live at all. So I was like very committed to I was like, I'm just going to be the front man. I'm just going to jump up and down. I need people who know how to play behind me. And then we played the one show, and it was awesome. And it was like a great feeling. And it was like, definitely felt like for me personally that it was something that I wanted to do again, but I wasn't sure exactly how things were going to go. And then like some people like pulled me aside at that show and was like, "You need to like continue doing this." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't, these guys they only want to do the one show, and like, I don't know if they're committed to doing more." And sure enough, most of them weren't. So I had to go back to the drawing table, and I had to find people that wanted to play more. And so that is how Dead Bar started.
Wow. Wow. Well, hey, congratulations on sticking with it. And as it being, the brainchild of you and the thought process behind it and learning and teaching yourself. I mean, that's what artistry is. I mean, and to be where you are today, continuing to do it with new album and like doing the grind, as you said. I mean, that's awesome. And so my next question is going to probably be pretty hard for you since it was your brainchild, but you only get one chance to make a first impression with someone. And if no one had ever heard your music before, Dead Bar's music, and you only had one opportunity to play one song for them, what one song are you playing of yours for them?
Damn. I mean, I'll just go with my first gut instinct. I don't know if this is the right one, but like Funhouse Monday. Is like the song when for me it all like clicked in terms of like what we were doing. Like all the rest of the song, there's a lot of. So I want to go back for just a second because I do think this is kind of important and maybe unique to your like listeners or maybe any band, but like every single song I've ever written in my entire life is a Dead Bar song. And so, and it's recorded and it's released and you can hear it. And so, like, I don't know of any other band that that's the case because like most people are like, I wrote my first song when I was 15 or something like that, and it sucked. And and then I got better. But this band, like, you know, that's like a beautiful thing, and I think maybe confuses some people because like a lot of people are like, you're like screaming kind of, and like also like singing, and like what are you like what are you like trying to do? And I was like, not I don't know what I'm doing. Like I this is the first time I've ever done this. And so like I mean, the first song I ever wrote in my entire life it is called Party at My House. It is on the first Dead Bars EP that like is available. I
Hmm.
mean, it was pressed on a record, like uh and then the second song I ever wrote was like Los Marineros, which is also on that record. And it's just like every single song I've ever written in my entire life is like documented through this band. And I think that is like amazing, because like it's truly like I don't know of any other kind of thing where you can truly hear like a person, me, and a band like grow like in real time,
Yeah.
and like there was no let's get it right. You asked about like first impressions. Like we probably didn't make a good first impression because we probably should have I probably should have practiced more. I probably should have learned how to sing better uh before we did it, but I was so like it was so immediate that I had to do this. It was so much like get it out there at all. Like I didn't feel like I had time anymore. I felt like time was over and I had to do this. And um so yeah, I mean that is I think something that's unique to us, and I think really really beautiful because like I go back and I listen and I hear people that are trying their hardest and are confused and broke and don't know and have no direction, and but just have so much heart, and like I'm like reaching for those notes. Like I can't sing them, but I am like I'm gonna get there, or I'm gonna be a little bit flat or a little bit sharp, but I'm trying to get there so hard. And I think that like that is endearing to some people. Maybe not to everybody. Somebody might listen and be like, this guy doesn't know how to sing, but it's like, I mean, I learned how to eventually, you know, like, right? I mean,
And for me, like I think it's when the early stuff is there. Like one of my favorite things to do is like, especially if I find a band piques my interest. I spend a lot of time on Bandcamp, and just because you can laser click all these different genres and almost build your own genre to find music. Um, and if I find a band and it's usually under latest releases and I listen to it, the fact that when they have all their older stuff out there and I get to go listen to all of it, because it kind of tells me how they matured, and you can see the growth in songwriting and instrument, playing guitar or drums, and hear the whole maturation process through the music that they created. I mean, a lot of times I think it's spectacular, and I've had artists before where they've said, yeah, now we've pulled some of our stuff off, and I'm like, that's fucking selfish. Like, you can't do that. If it's out there and someone did listen to it, it could have been their favorite album ever, and they never had the opportunity to tell you that, and then you just fucking took it away from them. Especially in today's day and age, when there's not so much physical media and everything is either streaming or downloads and stuff like that, and it just goes away. Then you're just like, that album or that song, one song that you wrote early on could have saved someone's life because they get to listen to it when they're feeling down or when they're happy, and then you just take it away. I mean, I always say, I'm like, that's just selfish, man. Like, I know it's your
yeah,
creation, but it's selfish.
yeah, totally. I think like it's cool to have something that's like documenting like a point in your life, and documenting where you're at in the song, maybe the content like reflects it, or like I hear like there's been different people that have been in and out of the band, so I hear like, oh, cool, like that was like Andrew on guitar and that was, Ray on bass. I mean, these people have been gone for out of the group for, I mean, 10 years,
Yeah.
which is like, like they were only in the group for a very short time, but we're kind of foundational to the sound, and it's really cool. It's really special. But yeah, I mean, I would say like Funhouse Monday is will always hold a special place in my heart for like kind of defining kind of our sound. I mean, we've evolved absolutely, but like I definitely think that
There's a
um
foundation in that song for you then.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, because it will probably be different, but is that your favorite song you've released, or is there another song that you say, so far I think that's my best work and that's my favorite song?
Um I think I think I think like songs off of the new record, like I think Give the Metalhead a Hug is like one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. I also think Sinkhole, which is a song that came out on an EP, is also really special to me too. It was just at a really like kind of like low point in my life, and we don't really write a lot of songs like that, but sometimes I had to do it. And so that one for sure. But off the new record, Give the Metalhead a Hug is, I think, and everyone is like so many people who have been around the band for like a long time have just reached out. They're like, dude, this is peak Dead Bars. This is like it has everything. It's got the it's got the melody. It's got the hook. It's got the humor. It's got the um it makes you bop. It's got it all. And so like I think that song is like the whole package. um and it's definitely like the evolution. It's like it's totally sincere, real song. And I don't
Yeah.
think people really like off the bat understand that it's not a joke. It's not a
Yeah.
joke song. It's like very much a real song. And or a real sincere song. And so I think that's the one that I'm most proud of now, as it stands right now.
Awesome. Now, for you in your life, is there a band that you would like categorize as, the band that never lets you down? Some people call it your favorite band. I look for a band that never lets you down, that's always been in your life, that you still continue to listen to, and whenever you want to listen to something, you just know it's there to pick you up.
I mean, there's definitely a bunch that I could kind of point to, and I think it kind of something like that can kind of change, over time, depending on how you're feeling or where you're
Yeah.
at, kind of in your life and stuff. But I know what you're saying, where it's like no matter what point, like they're always kind of there. And I mean, the easy answer, and it's probably the real answer, is it's got to be the Bouncing Souls.
Hmm.
It's got to be the Souls. Souls are. I have so much respect for like what they do, how they do it, and kind of their attitude that's informed a lot of what we do. And I don't even know if they're my favorite band in terms of uh I don't I'm not always listening. It's not like they're on repeat all the time, but they definitely were a band that like I like knew about them when I was younger. That like I thought they were kind of silly, and like I wasn't that into it. And then at some point, like 18, 19, like all of a sudden all their songs like clicked. When I was like right out of high school, everything just kind of clicked to me. So I was speaking to that person, which was like
Well,
down to
that's,
party,
yeah,
down to have fun.
because that's when they created it. They were that age, and that's when it,
Probably.
and that's when it hits. I think that's one of the coolest things with music too, is like being able to, when you're younger. I mean, you're from Jersey, I'm from Jersey, and the big thing, everybody's always like, yeah, Bruce Springsteen. And like you come out of the womb, you're supposed to like Bruce Springsteen, and I'm like, yeah. When I was growing up, I didn't like it, and then all of a sudden, like I started to realize later on down the road, and later on in my life, I'm like, oh, because it wasn't made for me at that age to understand it. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not like this huge Bruce fan or anything, but like later on in life, yeah, I could listen to it because now it made sense to me. Before it didn't. Like, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know what this is. I don't like this. I don't need to listen
Yeah.
to it. And there's billions of people who like it, so it's okay if I don't. But it's like, okay, it wasn't made for me like at that time. So when you get older and you're like, oh, this is who it was made for, and those people are now in their 70s still going to watch Bruce play for 3.5 hours, and and that's the kind of stuff where it hits you when it was created because it was created by a person at that age that message touched you, and you just went along with it for the ride after that.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, Souls like for sure. Just like they're so like they're just so like they do everything kind of on their own kind of terms, and that's like a template for us, how we kind of operate. And we played with them. Uh, uh, they invited us to do their 30th anniversary like tour kickoff show, and so we actually like we flew out to Jersey and we did the show, and like they're so cool to us and really supportive, and
They're good
um
people.
yeah, so that band forever, man, like I know they've been like keeping going and stuff, and I mean I'd love to do a tour or something again with them. Would be actually, I think, like really would make a lot of sense actually. So there's people listening that can make that happen. I actually think it would make a lot of sense, like fan wise and everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's like there's a bunch of bands that that like kind of fit that kind of category. It's just like
Yeah, and I think when it comes to bands like that, like you look Bouncing Souls, Bad Religion, like certain bands like that did it themselves, right? They did it basically all themselves, and then continue to do it that way, and they have created such a fan base, and it's like they were never they're never going to be the biggest band in the world, and they never were the biggest band. It wasn't like every single person knew who they were, but they carved out this awesome little pocket that made them survive just creating music for their life. Like,
exactly.
and I think that's one of the coolest fucking things to when you look back at it and just see bands like that like they're still doing it. They still do their Summerfest thing. They still like, and they carved out this perfect little pocket for them because they did it themselves. And they're like, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what, and like they got to the point where they're just big enough to what they love to do is make music and play music live, and it helped them sustain their livelihood and put food on their table. And by no means are they living in mansions, right? They're just like they did it the way I always say. I wish they would write an awesome book about like how they started to where they are, and like you hand it out to other bands and say, listen, you don't have to be the Foo Fighters, you can be the Bouncing Souls, like here you go.
Yeah. And like, I mean, that's what people are gonna, take away from Dead Bars too. I think. I mean, like we've carved out our own little world, out here, like to a way lesser degree. But I mean, you know, there are people that like we got our own thing going on out here. Like it's like a Dead Bars like crowd. It's not just
Yeah,
like the punk scene. It's like all different types of people, and that's like the best compliment, where it's like we created our own little scene here,
yeah.
and that's a huge I think accomplishment for a little tiny old band that's just chugging along.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
it
I
is a
said, it's
huge accomplishment. It's not.
it is
I don't think
it
it
is
is. It's a huge accomplishment, man.
yeah, I mean,
Be
it's
very proud of it.
yeah, dude, and it's like you know I mean, the only thing I can say is like just cannot stop, like when I was a kid I was like I want to play with the Bouncing Souls, like, and somebody was like it'll happen, and I mean the thing is it did 20 years later. It's like that's the thing, is like all this is it's all gonna happen, man. Like it's you just you got to stay true, and you have to just keep grinding and believe that what you're putting out there, that it's gonna resonate and people are gonna give it back to you. So
Yeah, and again, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Like I sometimes I'll look in the mirror right here, and when I was 17 years old, there's nothing I wanted more than to have my own record store and a music venue and get to have bands play, for me, at my place. And 30 years later, that happened. You know what I mean? So like there is, as long as you are like, you know what, this is something I really want, and you're willing to put in the time and work hard for it. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people, the first road bump, sometimes they give up. Sometimes they don't want to keep going. Sometimes they don't put as much passion as they originally had for it into it. So, I mean, it's really one of those things where, hard work pays off, man. And if you stick to it and you have a dream, and it doesn't matter when it happens, just work as hard as you can to get to that, to fulfilling your dream.
I mean, it's happening, right? It's like that's the thing. That's the dangerous thing about being a dreamer is like it is happening.
Yeah.
It never stops happening, right? And but you always are chasing it, and that's
Yeah.
good because it keeps you motivated and keeps you going. But it always does leave you, in this like kind of um like wanting more. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just like the type of person that I am, where it's
It's
like,
a good
I
thing.
mean,
It's a good
like,
thing because you
yeah,
have something that's going to continue to motivate you.
yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, you mentioned like, oh, look in the mirror or whatever. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, if I look and like, 17-year-old, if if I was like, this is what I'd be doing uh 20 years later, I think it'd be like, wow, like that's like, success or something, right?
Yeah.
But it's all through whatever lens you're trying to. I feel like we're successful. It has nothing to do with anything other than, I have everybody in this band who like we say yes to everything. You know
Yeah.
how hard that is? So I feel like incredibly lucky and successful, like in the sense of like that I found uh, this amazing group of people that are now like some of my best friends that we travel, all over the place together. We write, we record, we perform together, and nobody ever says no. We're all like, yeah, we get an opportunity, we're going to go do it, and I think that's really, really rare as you just keep getting older, and like it's like there's people in the band married, kids, and all that stuff, and like everybody says yes to everything. So
That's awesome. Good for
yeah,
you,
we're
man.
super lucky.
All right, we went off the Bouncing Souls as being that band. All the bands that we've talked about so far today, like what would someone be really surprised that you listen to, that you get tons of enjoyment out of listening to this artist, and people just be taken aback, especially by the bands that we've named today and the music that you create. What's your, some people categorize it as guilty pleasure, but they're all pleasures at some point.
Yeah, let's see. I what is something that I mean, I listen to a lot of kind of classic rock, I guess, and like stuff that like isn't like cool classic rock, like the Eagles or like Jackson Brown or stuff like that. Um, like soft stuff. Um, because I really like the songs, I'm kind of like uh I'm I have a lot more love and respect for like the song craft than I at this point than for other things right now. So if it's like a really good song and if it like moves me for like even like not like an obvious reason, it's like I could listen to it like over and over and over and over again. Um, I mean another band uh that I listen to that's like um, people would probably be surprised about is sorry, that's a question that I haven't thought about in a bit. I'm trying to even like go through my Spotify or something just to see what's on there. It's probably like pretty silly stuff, but I mean right now I'm listening to I mean right now like right before I got on with you I'm listening to the Jesus and Mary chain,
Hmm.
like I'm like pretty much full on going, it just feels so good. It's just like I could listen to it forever. Um, I really like, I mean, I was just listening to Blink 182 the other day, Enema of the State, and it was awesome. I like loved it. I hadn't listened to that in a while, and it was so good. I mean, people that know the band might know this, but maybe your audience might. Like, I listen to like Motorhead a lot, like
Hmm.
kind of like more on like the hard rock kind of side of things. I just listened to Chapel Roan for the first time maybe 4 or 5 days ago, which I know like that's probably shocking, but like I truly had never heard it before, and like it's really awesome. So like I really like it.
Nice.
Again, because the songs are really good. I didn't know what to expect, so I fuck with that. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are a few examples of
All
maybe
right.
something people would be surprised about.
Yeah. All right. Um, World's going to end in 5 minutes. Meteors crashing into the earth, and you have to listen to one song and one song only. What song are you listening to?
Oh man, this is like this is like really hard, man. Um, oh man, I mean, I'll just go back to the beginning, man. Green Day Basket Case. Let's
Okay.
just go back. Let's just take it back to where it all started,
Yeah.
you know?
No, it's a good way. That's a good way to do it and a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to be coming in on our last segment here in a minute. So one more question before we get to that final segment. And it is, if your house is burning down and every living thing is out safely, and you have to run back in to grab one piece of, either music memorabilia or something music related, what are you running back in and grabbing?
Oh man, another interesting
Gotcha
question.
questions, man. Hard hitting journalism here. That's what we do.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. It's really, really good. Um, what am I grabbing? Um, yeah, okay. So I got this letter actually on my wall that is so when I was younger in all those bands, like when I was back in Jersey and stuff, I had I mean I was always hustling, so I'm always sending demos to like every single label. I sent it to every single label ever.
Yeah.
And so one of the labels was the Bouncing Souls label, Chunk Saw Records. And I mean, like, I don't. There was no way that they were going to put it out, but I was just like, well, I'm going to send it to everyone. Maybe I'll get like a response back. And I got a letter in the mail. It's on Chunksaw like letterhead,
Letterhead. Yeah.
which is weird, but basically it's just like a kind of like jokey kind of letter that's just like, fuck off. No, we will not sign your shitty band. Like that's like the first line, and I'm reading it and I'm just like, oh my God, like what did I do? And then it's just like just joking around, like it's good to hear from you, and basically a really nice letter after that. Turns out, friend of mine, that the only tour that I had ever been on at that point, I there was they had a crew member, another band that we played with had a guy that was on the tour, and he ended up doing all the mail order for Chunksa. My demo came in. He received the letter and decided to write me back on the letterhead and kind of give me a true rejection letter. So I've never like I think it's an old school kind of thing, right? I mean, like now everyone's sending emails, but I was sending physical CDs out to Epitaph and all these labels, and Chunks I was one of them, and it's the only kind of thing that I kind of have kind of framed up, and just like a reminder of like where kind of where I was, and kind of like honestly kind of like how far like things have kept going, really. I mean, like it's a real rejection letter from a real label. You know, it's like it's pretty awesome actually. So I'd probably take that because it is good. I still look at it, you know, it's kind of like, whoa, like it's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. Love this story. All right, so we are in our final segment. You already named off some things, but this is our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things you're listening to that you'd like to share with people. You would give your 3, then I give my 3. So I don't know if you want to change it from Jesus and Mary Chain, Blink 182, and Chapel Roan, but if you do, you can.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna see if are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Cool. I'm gonna see if I can get into see what it's you're just asking what I've been listening to?
Yeah, 3 things you listen to that you want to share.
All right, let's see here. I was just recently listening to Strike Anywhere, Changes a Sound. Awesome record. Haven't listened to it in a long time. Uh, really, really, really surprised me how good it is. I don't know if anybody out there is a Strike Anywhere fan, but like that record is kind of like perfect for melodic punk. So that's pretty sick. So I've been listening to that. Let's see what else. I was listening to this band called Bad Nerves. That's kind of a new band,
Yeah, I
newish
know.
band from England. I saw them live, and it kind of was like one of the best. It was like one of the best live shows I probably probably ever seen. It was just really really good, and I'd never heard them before. I went with our drummer Rosie. Was like, "Do you want to go see Bad Nerves with me tonight?" And I was like, "I'm always down to go to a show." So I was like, "Cool," and like I had no idea what to expect, and that was great. And then another band that I've been listening to, this is a total wild card, is Agnostic Front. I've been re kind of engaging with New York hardcore and Victim in Pain, Agnostic Front.
Nice. Good 3. All right, my 3 for this week. My first one is a band called Pale Oaks. They have an album called Falter. They're from Athens, Greece. They're like emo, guitar-driven rock, like just really fucking good. Number 2 is a band called Northern Captives. They have an album called Dizzy. They're from the UK. I mean, I would just say, I guess it's indie rock, as I would put it. And last but not least is a band called New Year Memorial. The name of the album is Darker, Louder. And if everybody listens to the show, you know my affinity with Scottish bands. They are from Scotland, and they are making that quintessential, awesome Scottish emo punk indie stylings of Scottish music. So they're really awesome. So those are my 3 for this week.
Awesome, man.
Well, John, I want to say, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for creating music, the music that brought us together, because without that, we wouldn't be talking from across the world. And literally, if you're from Rockaway, I was a stone's throw away. So, we're Jersey boys separated by an entire country coming together. So, and it's all because of the music you created. It's because of your drive. It's because of your hard work and your determination to keep something going. So, a huge thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been actually really, really fun, interesting. You asked some probing questions. It was cool to be able to talk a little bit about kind of the origin of the band, and yeah, it's been really fun.
Awesome, man. Well, everybody out there in the world, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Dead Bars, and have a great fucking time.
I'm
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.